Hey, hey, hey. How is everybody doing? Sorry, I'm a little late trying to get my lighting squared away here at the last minute. Hope everyone is doing well. Ninjatron, Wind Charger, how are you? I'm going to try to draw and read the fine print at the same time. We'll see how I do. You found yourself on the Toy Armada Live, where we are going to do some live drawing tonight. A little later, I had a nice steak dinner with my family tonight, and didn't want to rush it. Did not want to rush it. I'm setting up my awesome. Did a little pop out here. How's everybody doing? Good crew here already. Appreciate you. Hey Frank, how you doing? Sean, Decepticitty, T-Formers 2002, how are you? Arche. Got a little bit of everybody here. It might be a little weird for me to read and draw, but I can only get the thing so big here, which is what she said. Been doing some new work. I am Aaron Archer, a longtime toy designer and now independent artist, where we usually talk about toys on this Friday night, and occasionally I'll do some live drawing. I'm known for a few different toy lines, but Transformers is one of them. So I'm working on a new Unicron here. Looks pretty cool. So hope everybody had a nice week. A little bit of Transformer news this week. Nothing super juicy for me to talk about. We're going to do a few drawings here tonight. We got Armada Starscream here I can work on, as well as I got this Soundwave partially done. So what I do is I use the Posca pens and draw on classic toy instructions. So there's an example of Kicker on my Aaron Archer official Instagram. This is where I post these things. Cup did this week. I haven't even posted all of these. Got a new version of the Fallen. And this was the fun one to do this week. Kind of G1 take on what is clearly prime Cliff Jumper storyline, but put him in the G1 vernacular. I've been doing some weird paintings for my special project. And what else have I been up to? And then trying to get this guy done for TFCon LA. Doing a big Megatron painting. We'll see where this one gets to. So check out archermonster.com shop on to check out what is happening with with these images here. I have a fair amount of them. I'm building them up for the convention. And if they don't go sooner than that, I apologize in advance if my light goes out on this side. I yanked on it one time and now my wires are loose. I opened it up. 2 of the wires are not connected anymore, but somehow the thing still works. Baffles me, but that is what's going on. Hey Patrick, how are you? Yeah, I've been having fun this week, definitely. And then if you follow the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer on the long form, Daniel and I, Protoman and I, put out a new podcast related to Kicker and the Alpha Quintesson from Energon this week. And that one's off to a good start. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the history of those 2 items, definitely check that out if you haven't already. I appreciate you if you have. Again, this is what I do now. So if you're interested in a instruction image or a particular character, hit me up and we can talk about it. So forgive me here, I got to move my markers a little bit. Just so it's going to be the biggest annoyance I think for you guys tonight is maybe me dropping these things in over and over. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad the Jet Prime got there. Yeah, I don't know. Cup is kind of weird. Cup, I didn't do a lot of Cup in the Unicron trilogy era. Because our old man was either Ratchet or Hound, and occasionally there might have been someone else, but we never made it back to Cup. He probably suffers from a uninspiring vehicle mode as far as why to bring him back. He was a little tougher. A teal pickup truck is not the coolest pitch, but yeah, so I wanted to jazz him up. I like the old man robot. I think that's fun. All right. Looks like everything's coming through pretty well here. For those of you who haven't been here before, this is a very loose graffiti style that I do here. My goal is not to be super detailed or I don't know, worry about some of that stuff. It's more about the mood and I guess the action. Let's see here. So I just killed that marker, so gotta go to another version. Hopefully it's a little more juicy. Again, it's a lot like an animation cell. A little rough in the beginning, and then when you get the black line around it, it all ties the room together. Soundwave was always tough to bring back because, you know, at the time that I was bringing him back, you know, he was just an anachronism. You know, there weren't miniature tape decks anymore. So we really, and even CDs were leaving, even though we did do some of that, and digital devices, cameras, and everything were coming in. So we always didn't know what to make of Soundwave. Like what was the best way to honor what that character was about. So for a while we steered clear, and then slowly figured out a way to either have deployers come out of him in a meaningful way in Cybertron, or bring back the whole concept in a different way for the films. Now this is kind of I'm kind of doing an Aaron Archer riff here between kind of what the G1, in my opinion, Soundwave's head is the Decepticon logo. I think that's somewhat standardized. So I tend to treat his face a little bit like the Decepticon logo when I draw him. Let's see here. The real me, Aaron. How are you? Thank you. Yes, I am a wind charger. I'm more of a slap it on there and patch it up kind of guy. Yeah, I mean, I have a plan in my head and years of experience to make that plan work. But I go for it. Yeah, I'm not trying to be precious is the word that we would often use. Just going for it. The visceral is more fun for me. You know, I could plot this all out and make it a perspective drawing or something, but that, you know, that's just not as much fun, I think. Fair amount of markers that have bit it recently. So I do all these on the Instagram, and you can see from my you know, paintings that I do. They're largely Posca as well. I definitely go through the pen caps. So this is where I'm at the moment. I have a whole big box where I keep all the pens that I've killed. So, you know, this is just, you know, a lot of blacks, a lot of blues, a lot of grays. But I keep all the caps of the pens that I've run out. Kind of weird, I know. See, and then you tighten it up. I can tighten it up here at the end when I put the black in. Yeah, when Proto Man I hang out at TFCon, I do a fair amount of these at the convention live. I do some of them in the room later, but um, and yeah, there are definitely people that hang out and continue the conversation and watch how I do this stuff. That's not a problem. I think any artist that has made it the decision to be a convention artist has already relegated themselves to accepting that there's somewhat of I don't know, a display aspect to working at conventions. You know, you kind of want to show people what you do, and people like to see the person doing things, so you end up drawing in public more than you ever thought you might, for sure, depending on your. But it's one way to promote yourself and get people excited about what you do is let them see a little bit of the magic happen. So you can see how that's starting to come together. I used to draw on the airplanes a lot, whether I was going to LA or Japan or wherever. When I was really active with my sketchbooks, that was my nervous go-to, was just to put my head down and draw on my sketchbooks. And I talked to a lot of people on a lot of planes, and always would ask the same questions, or oh, are you an artist? And well, geez, I hope so. I'm on a business class trip ticket to Japan. I must be doing something. I don't want to be sounding arrogant there, but it was always like a bunch of old white business people. So I stuck out for my age, and I was doing something. Most of the time, there was nothing to do on those planes, so definitely people would watch, which is fine. Had one lady, I'll tell this story. I was on a plane. I believe we were going to LA, and sitting next to me, we chatted. She said that her son liked something and whatever. I was just drawing in my sketchbook, and it didn't look like anything important. I remember it being some sort of lion type person, not quite a Thundercat, but that kind of thing, and the lady and I were talking, no problem, older woman, and nice, whatever, and she watched me make the whole thing, and I got it pretty much done, and she asked if if I would give that to her, which was pretty bold to begin with. And this thing was in my sketchbook. Okay, so it was in I don't know if it was a hardback sketchbook or a spiral bound at that point, but it was definitely in a sketchbook. It wasn't a loose piece of paper. So, I had a fine time talking to this woman, whatever, no problem. I gently, fold the paper and tip it out and get it out in one piece so that it's, a nice little thing. it took some work to get it out of a hardbound book. And anyway, so I got it done, and I gave it to her, and she said, "Oh, thank you. This is great. Somebody will like this." And she proceeds to just fold it in like fourths and slip it into her smaller, purse. And again, none of this stuff is sentimental in a way, but at the same time, it does take some thought and effort and whatever. And the idea that she just took it and folded it right up as if that wouldn't be a little weird to do, or for me to have to see, I guess. That one was a weird one, and I never really did that again. Not that it ruined me on it, but it was just like, okay, people just don't know what they're asking, And so at that point, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. Big purple marker at the moment. It is annoying. Oh yeah. It's a funny story to tell. And again, it was not an important drawing, not an important image. It wasn't something that I belabored either. So it really wasn't like I was giving anything special away. But at the same time, my goodness. Just very, here's another marker that's dying. So just another one that was very weird and surprising in its own way. Let's see, what are you doing? Oh, you're nice and juicy at the moment. Yeah, it's always weird when you get encountered outside of the, social media or convention scene where everyone kind of knows the rules a little bit better as far as maybe how to ask for art, the type of way to go about it, maybe even somewhat, or certainly maybe the potential value of said art, right? Yeah, that's a wild one. I was at a convention once, and this is back when maybe I was doing more marker and gouache, not the paint pen stuff here. And a guy came through and he was like, "Oh man, I really like your stuff. I like your style. But I'm into a different type of art, blah blah blah." And then he said, "How about, can I give you $10 for this?" And the guy gave me like $10 or $20 for essentially one of my marker pages where I'm just running my pens kind of thing, like you do as an artist. You can see where I'm just getting them to go, making sure they're juicy. And someone bought one of those from me one time, which I found to be probably the weirdest thing. I go with it, whatever, but that was probably one of the weirder things somebody picked up. They can look interesting, absolutely, no doubt about that. But at a convention, I was sitting next to Marvel 80s superstar Ron Friends, so like it was just weird in that environment. Probably is the best way to say it. Yeah, don't sign your life away. Don't do that. So, anybody want to talk about anything particular Transformers related tonight? Any questions? Hope you guys had a chance to see the long form. What's going on with you? Okay, that's what's going on with you. You're the old one. You're the new one. So again, I will be at TFCon LA March 7th through the 9th. If anybody's going to be out that way, that's where a lot of these things will find them out there. Soundwave mostly. Trim them up here. Yeah, Kevo. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different cons. I mean, I haven't been to LA in a number of years anyway, so that alone is exciting. And then I know there's a lot of friends and people I've met over the years at the convention. When it was BotCon that I'd met out there, that might be out there. Some friends that now live out there. Hopefully maybe I'll get to see Seabanailer. We'll see, but it's exciting. It's exciting. But if you can't make that one, clearly there's more eastern or central located conventions as well. And they come up every year, and trust me, they seem like they're always going to be awesome, and they always are pretty great. But there's always one next year, you know, just plan it out. And, even I am like at the end of it, like, wow, that happened fast, and I'm glad I didn't do X, Y, and Z, you know, like just enough, got enough done. All right. And pop the image out a little bit. Well, that's it too. There are a lot of, just in general, a lot of conventions. That's the official technique for that. Bang it against your finger. That's all you need. It's all you need. Yeah, it could have been, you know, the Nobody movie before anybody knew, you know, just normal white dude kicking butt. I guess we still have John Wick. All right. Let's see here. Put some of my markers away. Thank you, Patrick. It's a lot of cutting back and forth is the technique, really, for those of you who do art. It's really, that's all I'm doing, and just trying to clean up my edges as I go with some highlights and shadows. You can see me doing that here with this darker blue. Again, I'm not drawing these to be perfect or, you know, style guide interpretations in every case. I created a lot of these characters in my day at Hasbro, and or versions of them. So I still continue with the idea that I have the latitude to continue to do that. And that's what I do. Golly. So again, you can see that a lot of edge cleanup here. And cutting in. There's only so much you can do with the variety of the marker shapes. So I go back and forth on them, back and forth, back and forth. Beachcomber. You know, I haven't drawn Beachcomber too often. I've done a lot of the movie Beachcomber, which is kind of a weird one with the big goggles and breathing apparatus. People seem to like that one. But Keanu Reeves as Beachcomber, that would be funny. I don't have a good black. My biggest, I only have this as dark blue, so that is why I'm using it as kind of a trim color. So no, they don't make that color in a thicker marker. It's the one thing with Posca that I have found. Either they might make it, but not all stores sell all colors at all sizes. And certain colors I've never seen in certain sizes, particularly larger sizes. So that dark blue is just not something I have had a lot of access to. All right, I'm gonna call that one done for now. Oh yeah, Sea Spray, that's the one, not Beachcomber, Sea Spray with the big goggles. I've done that one a few times. I think Keanu Reeves would be the Angry Archer, to be honest with y'all. Well, I'll get into a little bit with how BotCon Fun Pub handled their exclusives. Hasbro would give them a list of molds that were available, and then they would do the due diligence to figure out what characters they could cobble together from those molds. They would then they had to handle all the design production of the BotCon products. My team, my design staff did very little on BotCon items other than encourage certain mold use and maybe being part of some brainstorm discussions, but I can't say that I was involved with a ton of them. And that they would sculpt the heads on their own. We would give them maybe names of people that did sculpting that were Hasbro approved. You know, we were going to get something back that we could use. So they would use sculptors that we would recommend to get their heads sculpted up. They would do their own deco guides. You know, this is taking hours and hours and hours out of my team's budget and time to do that kind of stuff. So they had to do it. Otherwise, it would not have gotten done because the production run of the BotCon items was so low by all other anything else we made whatsoever, that it just was not cost effective to have a full-time Hasbro designer, big-time Hasbro designer, doing BotCon items for what that revenue brought into the company. And, you know, so I was very adamant that we did not work on too much of the Fun Pub stuff as a design unit, more as a franchise leadership group, but not part of the team that made those products. It just wasn't, again, just was not going to be a smart way of using our time. And then, yeah, and I don't know what happened. I guess Hasbro retained that tooling, and they would get a price, and and we had minimum quantities in some cases of things that needed to get ordered for it to all work out. They got a pretty decent deal all in all. Um, but they definitely had to put out some money to get that stuff. I mean, you're talking about low run boutique transformers. I mean, there's a reason those BotCon sets cost what they cost nowadays. Um, they are not highly produced, and they are kind of unique, and especially as they did things like the shattered glass and Beast Wars sets and animated sets and different things that are desirable. um they only become more valuable. I'm surprised we don't see more pretenders with your proclivity for drawing monsters. Yeah, we didn't know how to. Again, in my era, we were really trying to reestablish this, the early 2000s, where I was design lead of the Transformers team. We were really trying to establish Transformers, Autobots versus Decepticons, and vehicles that turn into robots. And Pretenders, still in this era, that would have been looking back and saying, oh, you want to go back to a time where money was lost and the brand was lost and nobody, remembers that stuff. Why do you want to do that? And there were certain times where it's like, well, this is a great vehicle or it's a great opportunity, da, da, da. But for Pretenders, it's like, well, there's these shells and they were kind of monsters and there's robots inside of them. And it just didn't, at that time where we were building this franchise back up, in the modern G1, so G2 kind of, well, G3, I guess. It just didn't. We had too many other things to focus on and explain that to get to Pretenders was a bit further on than we could really do. But I would have loved to, but that just wasn't going to work. And I was really good at, believe it or not, trying not to just throw anything in I wanted to do. I had a strong opinion, but some things just weren't right. So, any truth to the idea that Chevy actually owns the Alpha Swerve tooling? A deep dive on that oddity would be pretty interesting. We probably could do a deep dive on that. That was, to my knowledge, one of the few, if not only, custom produced Transformer sanctioned by Hasbro and Takara. The Aveo. Yeah. So they do own the tooling for that item. So you will never see that item redecoed per se, because they wanted to make it a promotion. And in order, again, we gave them a cost for a minimum order quantity and dot dot dot. And in order to make that work, they had to pay for the tooling, and in that case, they own that tooling. And it was a unique car in its time and place. So that is totally an unavailable Transformer. So what that was a promo for the European car market dealerships. That you could get a Transformer by test driving, at one point buying, and then test driving, then looking at, then being interested in, then just going in, kind of as they realized it wasn't where people needed to be. They got rid of it in different ways. I can't enumerate all of those ways at the moment, but so that's why that item's a little weird. And if you see it, it's not ever boxed. At best, it's wrapped in plastic with a tissue paper surrounding it, and that is how it came, and that's the item. Pretty wild. That is a wild item. In either the alternators or MP3, Proto Man alluded that you have some background on KISS players. Is that true? No, he was making fun of me because I crap on Kiss Play. So I think that was he and I just having an inside joke. No, I find it a bit odd. I am not. Sexy robots don't do it for me. I'll leave it at that. So Kiss Play wasn't my thing. Yeah, the Aveo Swerve may have been more popular than the Aveo in the end, no doubt about that. And certainly as time goes on, there's probably more people desiring the Aveo toy today, just from the nostalgic and completist view and oddity view of it, than there were ever enthusiasts for the actual car, no doubt, because it was a very transit, city transit kind of car. It wasn't anything super cool. Yeah, yeah. At the end, yeah, you could get that car a lot of different ways. But where it started was I think you had to buy one or certainly test drive one, and it was only in Europe at the time. All right, so if you just arrived, I'm doing some drawings tonight. I draw on these Transformer instruction sheets. Classic characters of all different varieties. And you can check them out at archermonster.com. Check out the Instagram, Aaron Archer Official, if you're interested in finding something that you like there. I got a pretty good stash going, like I said, for TFCon. I'm just going to keep adding to it. So I try to do a couple of those a day, and then I work on these paintings every day. So I've been showing this one the last few weeks. It's been a little bit done. Still need to give it another clear coat, I think. I am working on, I'm not working on, I have my book partner, AJ, is working on volume 4, which will be the, there goes the light. That's my fault too. Man. Oh, there we go. Never know. Like I said, I cracked this thing open. Can't believe a couple wires are not hooked up, so it's kind of, yeah, kind of weird when it decides to work or not. That's a bummer. Yeah, not too bad without it. Will we survive? So volume 4 is going to be mostly Unicron trilogy instruction art with maybe some of the planet stuff that I do. So that'll be the next one. This volume. Oh, there they are. So volume 2 is still more illustrated style. Volume 3 has the instruction sheet art. There we go. There's Sweet Sea Spray. And so volume 4 will have Armada, Unicron trilogy, Energon, Cybertron illustration on the instruction art for volume 4. I think volume 5 is going to be a monster sketchbook. I know that may or may not ring good for any of you, but that is one of my plans. I got all that Shay Khan, the Forever Man artwork, and I plan on doing some of that. Let's see here. So this is how I start a lot of these. So Clonus. Sometimes I feel like drawing the marker stuff, and sometimes I feel like coloring. There's a Energon Megatron that I have not done. I've had these two guys on the wait list for a while too here. Do I like Gundam? I like Gundam, but I like Gundam like I like a lot of Japanese things. I like them for the look and maybe some of the products, the different style. So I like it for inspiration. I couldn't tell you much about Robotech other than some of the names of the ships and, you know, Rick Hunter and some of that kind of stuff. So it was not my go-to as entertainment, but it certainly was my go-to for a lot of years for inspiration. So I like Gundam that way. And then my thoughts on Swapticons. Well, Swapticons feels... I got two thoughts on it. It feels like it's the next, you know, little popcorn feature price point to get a lot of different Transformers in there and do something unique with them. I feel like it's a bit of a, from a pure toy person, it feels like a little bit of a limited concept, you know. After you get a certain amount of those, I think you'll be all set, you know. So I don't think it's something that'll last forever and ever. Like I thought maybe Bot Shots would keep going, but that's how I'm feeling about it at the moment. You know, they're fun. They're definitely, you know, low price point. You can have some fun with that kind of stuff. Let me get out my Armada books here and check out some of my reference on Armada Starscream before I go too far here. This guy's a little hard to draw sometimes, just the way he's got that long, depending on the position you draw him in, he's got that long top part with those cannons, and then the cannons that come up right next to his face. He's a little tough to, a little tough. I don't know how else to say it. Again, this always looks very haphazard and messy, and it somewhat is. But in the end, it ends up all right. The thing that's really gonna get me on this one is I don't have a very good light gray at the moment. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I have those planet posters, and I have a lot of each of them, and I've thought about what I could do with them, but those are giant posters. If you put all four of them together, it's a big piece of surface. So I haven't. I'm like, if I draw something on that, am I going to be able to? Is someone going to want to pick that up? And if it's too big, it could get kind of weird. Certainly would have a heck of a time framing it. So I haven't done anything with those posters yet. But I got a whole stash of them. The comic books, the posters. Would you say the modern legacy remakes of your designs for particularly Unicron trilogy have been ones that do designs justice, or just stripping out the feature doll them to you? That's a good question. I obviously they were designed around the features initially, so in some cases, when you take the feature out, they can be a little different. But they now match the animation. So I find them to be like a good complement. We got a featured one, and now you got an articulated one, for lack of a better way of saying it, and they match the animation, so that's great. So no, I have no negatives anyway about the new stuff. If anything, I would have had a tough time not wanting to add or maybe quote unquote improve some of them. They've been very, I use the term honorific as far as their commitment to matching up what had come before, and that's really cool. Even though I in the case of like Vector Prime, I was hoping they could really upgrade his ship in a meaningful way, or that kind of thing. But again, not a negative. Just I would have thought they would go a little crazier with it. But it's all good. Very cool that these characters that Eric and I helped create and drive home with their stories resonate with people, and that they are doing as many of them as they have done, and continue to seem to do. So that's pretty cool. I've been thinking about having you draw on an Armada catalog. Yeah, I usually do heads, like just single heads on those Armada catalogs. They're about, so I can keep the logo. And then they can be, for me, a low end price point. I stick to the main characters, and it's a nice way to buy some original art of a character you like from the segment you like without maybe shelling out a lot of money. Not everybody knows what to do with original art or needs original art in their life. I would love it if they did, but I recognize some people don't. So I do those smaller ones on those comic books to might entice someone who otherwise won't buy original art to maybe pick something up. No doubt about that. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys. I just went through these things. So, yeah, that's the stack that I currently have of the Cybertron maps. A lot of these came from Michael from Canada. donated a whole bunch of these at Toronto. So I got a whole stash of different Armada books. Listen to those things land. And this one didn't even hardly come out. So that's kind of a harder cover to find in a way. I didn't even remember the comic story inside at first when I read it. That was the opposite cover. That's a Marcelo piece right there. I don't know who did this one. Could be very well could be Marcelo as well. I think this one is not Marcelo, or could be actually. Might have been my go-to guy at that point. I think I don't know. Dreamwave did this one for sure. Might have been the only one they really did. So this is a Dreamwave comic. The other ones are kind of Hasbro and Takara making stuff up. I don't have a lot of the Takara one. I rewatched Armada twice on Tubi in the last 18 months. I'm particularly excited for the Red Alert. That's cool. He was fun in that show. No Transmetal 2 Megatrons? No. No. Sorry to say. Transmetal 2 Megatron. Dragon is... I don't get a lot of those, if you're talking about the Dragon. I did have those, and I used them up when the Trigger video came out, and I matched all those battles between the dragons and the apes. So you can see there's a lot of details I don't put on these guys. I try to get the core things or similar things, but by no means am I trying to do the perfect representation. Again, as a toy designer, I got to come up with stuff, and I never had to draw these things multiple times over time. And I'm not going to start now. Gives me a weird little bit of latitude in the art game where I feel like a lot more acceptance of me doing my version of some of these characters than you would maybe be tolerant of other artists doing the same thing. Little details come back to me because they are, again, the kind of details I would have drawn in the first place, because these are my designs. So I designed and redesigned Starscream to be similar to G1, because I like where the placement of the front of the jet and everything, and the wings location. And I just wanted to, jazz them up a little bit better. And the thing I was really, I guess, excited about was a little bit more articulation on the figure than maybe he would have gotten at any other point along the way before then. Again, not like he's super articulated either. I don't want to give the impression that I saved the day, but more articulated than, um, G1 Starscream or Seekers. They're just so up and down and direct drive with their arms and legs. You can't really do much with them. Hey Hans, how are you? Yeah, these will be going up on the shop over the next day or two, as I finish them. Absolutely, everything I do kind of goes up on the shop eventually, or is for sale. So if you see anything, I certainly had people hit me up on Instagram and say, "Hey, I haven't seen that on your shop. I'd like to get it," and we make a deal right then and there, and I send them an invoice and they buy it. And never makes it to the shop. So when you see things on my Instagram that don't make it to the shop, it's likely because they were either commissioned or someone uh, made contact with me and got it basically before I could put it up on the shop. I'm drawing so many of these. It's not like I'm trying to be. I don't want to say it the wrong way, but it's not like I'm trying to be fair. I'm just trying to get them out there, and if someone wants it, you got it. I'm not trying to start a feeding frenzy or anything, and the price is the price. So that is what I'm doing with it. So yeah, it'll definitely be up in the next day or two. Soundwave will probably be the one I put up tomorrow on my Instagram, but I could probably put both these on, depending on how the day goes. What else do we got going on? Oh, you got the wheeljack recently. Cool. Hey, the Gippy Ninja, Ed, how are you? Yeah, it's been a minute since I've done a Starscream, Armada Starscream. I was doing too many Megatrons and Starscreams there for a while, and Optimuses. So I've been trying to do different characters. But also like the Wheeljack and the Jazz you've seen, and certainly with some of the Beast characters. I'm trying to do a few full bodies every week as well, not just the heads. Um, I kind of like when I can do the full body things, but I don't want to overdo it either. Yeah, I wish I had more of those dragon instructions. You can imagine those are 20, shoot, no, going on 27, 26 years old themselves. Tough to find. Tough to find in good condition, and tough to still to find, unfortunately for me. Uh, and if you've been one of these people or know some of the people that have donated to me over the years, I thank each and every one of you, because I've been able to really get a lot of different characters, for sure, and I got a steady supply for quite a long time in a way, depending on what I want to do, and that's been awesome. But it's still amazing what characters I don't come across, or I've only seen once or twice, or what ones I knew must have been the biggest hits ever because I get them in stacks. Like I do not need a movie Starscream. I have movie Starscream till the end of days. Movie Bumblebee till the end of days. I'm shocked at how many Unicrons I currently have. I think I got quite a bit at the moment. Probably have seven Unicron instruction sheets, Japanese, different reissues, um, which is pretty wild. Do you like Gundam or build them? It's funny you say that or ask that. Sadly, I do not build them too often. I bought them in Japan a lot because I liked them, but I did not buy them too often. As you can see from my slapdash art style, stopping and slowing down to trim models and do all the things you need to do for a model kit. Just isn't my speed. But I will show you the one Gundam that I bought way back in the day in Japan that unfortunately is not complete right now because he's kind of in the bottom of my toy box here. But that is the one Gundam I built. He also has a sword somewhere. He's got his jetpack thing back here. I don't even know where it goes at the moment. And I got all his parts. They're just not all in front of me here. So that is the guy I liked. He had a sword. That's why I liked him. I like my robots with swords. But you know, I cut this one all out and did the seam lines and stuff with Micron as best I could at the time. So I haven't made too many of these, but this again was a challenge to myself to say, Aaron, slow down, take your time, build one of these things. And I had it sitting with my Microman Godzilla. There's a guy inside there. So that was kind of one of my displays. That's why I got this box out here. Kind of funny. What else are we talking about here? So I don't build them too much. Yeah, I mean back then just making a multi-rotating or this kind of articulated toy, just to get it to deploy as a transformer would have been good enough. You didn't, you know, we weren't into a world of posability, you know, at that time. Matter of fact, things were a little more compact to fit in cockpits and things when you think of G.I. Joe and Star Wars and Microman. Transformers didn't need to do that, but they also, for whatever reason, weren't very articulated. One of the things I remember at Kenner and what was going on with Beast Wars was how everyone was so excited about the articulation that was able to be gotten from the ball joints, and just because you had four-legged creatures, and the forms were more spindly, right, with legs and thin necks and different things that animals provide you, thin tails that you have to work around, that Transformers became more articulated and more posable at that time. And it was that posability and articulation knowledge that we had learned that I think helped Car Robots in its own way, and then certainly helped with Armada in the Unicron trilogy in its own way, because then we had a concept of articulated robots, or knew how to do ball joints and knew how to do some different things that I don't know without that spur into animals would have yielded what we ended up being able to do now, right, with some of the poses. And now we think of them as, you know, how much can they be posed? Do they have ankle articulation? All of that kind of stuff. And I can guarantee in the G1 era, that was that was not part of the discussion. So it was just nice that they stood. So if you draw Big Red Dragon, you'll be doing it in the new instruction. Oh, the beast mode. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't drawn the beast mode yet. Not too often. I've drawn it on normal paper, but not on the instruction sheet. Yeah, I've had people send me their personal instructions, you know, even though I've had the same instruction, but they want their childhood one done. I've had people send me instruction sheets that they like of a character that I just don't have. Cryotech was one of them, got sent to me, and I painted one up and sent it back. And you know, I'm happy to draw on every instruction sheet someone has out there. So commissions, just hit me up on the Aaron Archer official Instagram is probably the easiest way, or archermonster@gmail.com. It'll all be in the box that I fill out later. Yeah, if you bring it out to LA, I can certainly work on it there, or we make arrangements. But if you want to put a sheet in my hands that I otherwise don't have, that is a good way to do it. Absolutely. Did you ever kit bash models at Hasbro, like Hasbro movie Optimus concept? How often was that sort of thing done? It was actually, Chris, it was actually done a fair amount, particularly in the movie era, because we were trying to impress Michael Bay with our, again, action and posability, and willingness to understand his style and show some things we thought we could do with it. One of the things that hasn't been talked about a ton is the Devastator Constructicon from the second movie was based on a concept that Richard Woodhouse created. Richard Woodhouse is the son of Ham Woodhouse, who I talk about a lot, but his son Richard learned a lot of stuff from his genius father and was really good at concept model making. He went to RISD, and we had him do a bunch of different models, and I know that one definitely was helpful to us. I did do some kit bashing on Movie Optimus as well. Not too much though. It was something we used and certainly utilized, but I did not make those models necessarily, if that's what you want to know. And then after that, we would do things like I made a model for the first alternator, which was a maroon Corvette that I bought a scale Corvette and matching model kit, and kit bashed the model kit parts over top the Car Robots Ultra Magnus. And that was kind of our presentation concept model for what became alternators, called Real Cars at the beginning. So occasionally, when you really wanted to make a splash or show a new vision, you would want a 3D model, particularly if you were changing a style or something that you thought it would be dramatic. You'd want some sort of model there. If it was just a continuation of things, yeah, you didn't need to go to that level. So it was really to impress, kind of, with why you would do that. Did you ever contemplate making toys of humans in scale with Transformers before Human Alliance? No, we tried all those different things. Some of those lines did better than others, and some of them did better than others, whether the human was in them or not. So we tried a lot of it. It did what it did, and nothing jumped out where we had to continue it. It's kind of my feeling on it. You said you'll draw on boxes, right? Yep, I've drawn on blisters, bubbles, the blister cards, a couple of boxes. Yeah, the boxes work. The one thing I will tell everybody, depending on how you personally store your items, I'm sometimes hesitant to draw on like Armada blisters, right? They get scratched up pretty easy, so those are a little trickier. Maybe the Marvel, I've done some Marvel Transformer ones where they got a flat front blister, and that doesn't seem to be a problem because they won't get rubbed off when you put them in a box next to each other. But I'll draw where people want me to draw on it. Yeah, we had to get rights to some of those humans and things, and it was just an added layer, and it wasn't gonna, change the price of tea in China, so to speak. But I do draw on the boxes, Wind Charger. I take it you'll be there. I wish we would have done a little more humans and animated, not so much for the Angry Archer selfishness there, but Sorry was a big part of that show. There were other characters that could have been fun to do. El Kevo was probably original. Yeah, that second, the little piece on a card. What I'm doing is every month I'm doing a different type of drawing or scale. So that you got the welcome image and then the little card sized. And next month it'll be a letter sized sketch page from my archive where I'm just random doodles kind of thing, warriors and robots and whatnot. So each month is a different consistent. So everybody that's at that level will get the same type of thing. Megatron or Optimus was month 1 for everybody that gets a welcome pack, and then you guys at that tier are a little bit different. But that's what's going on. And by the way, that segues nice into the Toy Armada Patreon. If you're so inclined to want to invest a little deeper into what I'm doing and get some cool stuff for it and some access for it, I appreciate it. I'm an independent artist, and every little bit helps, whether you're interested in seeing me at a convention or buying these things online or picking up the sketchbooks, any and all of it, or the Patreon, it all helps. I think of the Patreon as like buying me a coffee or a meal every month, and for that, we get to interact and do some fun stuff. I'm not totally tuned up my normal way tonight yet because I'm using my son's phone to do these lives. So El Kevo, T-Formers 2002, and I always get it wrong. Oh, where is it? Dun, dun, dun. You guys are... I got 3 of the mega Patreons right now, and I appreciate you guys. So far, so good. I'm really working up the Star Warrior Prime reviews as well. El Kevo, Star Warrior Prime reviews, and T-Formers 2002. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. But I'm gearing up for the brainstorm sessions where I'm going to go through the creation of some stuff, characters for my new project, and kind of be in the headspace of what I'm thinking as I'm thinking it, and seeing how I do it, and looking at different materials that I use to inspire me or that I think are helpful, and kind of get to see behind the scenes of how I do that. So I'm eager to get that started, and I definitely got a good communication back from a lot of great toy designers to be part of my Q&A questionnaire about their contributions, their thoughts on the industry, their favorite parts of doing toys, how they got into the creative fields, and just giving everybody a deeper look into toy designers. We know a lot about comic book artists and concept artists. I went to live the next town over from Ryan Meiterding, who does all the Marvel stuff, so I know him. For the Marvel Cinematic Universe, designed the Black Panther costume, the Doctor Strange costume, worked on Spider-Man. So I hope to put some exposure to toy people who clearly have had influence and contribution to all of our lives if we're into this hobby. So I want to expose more of those people. I'm going to talk to John Warden actually this week. Bobby Vallow, we'll definitely be talking to him. Yeah, he and I talking about action figures is fun because he thinks about it a lot. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I got a lot of fun stuff. We're starting off a little slow as I get my feet wet. So hey, the cat is in the building. Can't have a Toy Armada podcast without the cat. Come on, you can just get in camera. So this is Jiro for anybody that is new. And this is about the time where I've been sitting down here next to his food bowl and he is ready for me to feed him. Yeah, Bobby and I have good conversations. I have anytime I could talk to someone who's actually passionate about toys and we can have a conversation. Another professional, I think it's really fun. You know, I'm trying to share stuff. Bobby's in that same vein for sure, trying to kind of share how we think a little bit. T-Formers 2002. All that should have gone out by now. You haven't got your folder? If you got the folder, that was the tracking number thing. That would have been the only thing that's gone out so far. So let me know if you haven't got your folder, because that would be an issue. It's true that for the movie you took a bunch of sticks, throw them on the floor, painted primary colors and flares? No. Pretty good though. No, they had started that style before. They had done a lot of art when they introduced us to what they were doing. And again, we were fine with it. Yeah, Marcelo's definitely going to be on an episode. Really, T-Formers. So interesting. The other guys got theirs. Yeek. All right. Well, so when you plug in that number, it says that nothing's happened. Anyway, we'll talk about that offline. That should have come by now. I still got the paperwork here, so might have to file report. Huh. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. Make it work one way or the other. So that is what I got tonight. Thanks for you guys watching me and talking about art. A little bit of the creative behind the creative instead of just the toys. That's been fun. Yeah, I don't know. Going from Rhode Island to Ohio shouldn't be too bad. And if the other guys got theirs last week, you should have got it Tuesday at the latest. If not well before that. But there is a lot of delay, and who knows? I try not to get conspiratorial, but it's out there. I'll do my best to talk to you offline, and we'll figure it out. All right. But it sounds from what other people are saying here, things have been a little weird for everybody. So I guess that's good. But we still got Ninja in here. What's Ninja doing? So Jackson in Orbit, Don, Windcharger, T-Formers 2002, El Kevo, Hans, Ed, thank you all for being here. Ninja, Sean, Ring of Doom, Paul, we had some new people in here. Decepticitty, thank you for being here. You're playing Zelda. I hear you, brother. Can I ask which version? I've never played a Zelda game. I was Mario, and Donkey Kong all the way with my Nintendo. Then later on, I got into Pikmin. But I've never played Zelda. I always thought it was a poor man's uh, Dragon. Oh, what the heck? What was the RPG? Dragon Master? Dragon Quest? Early Nintendo, where you had to go all the way over here to get the key to go all the way back over there to unlock the thing to get the thing to go all the way over there, and on the way you had to kill a bunch of stuff. Yeah, yeah. I'm a Jigglypuff guy. If I can play him, yeah. Dragon Quest. I was Dragon Warrior. Maybe that was it. Dragon Warrior came with a map. Old school Nintendo, first generation NES. But I haven't played. I've never played any of that, which is always weird when I tell people I've never played Zelda and I've never played Metroid. I was too busy playing Contra back in the day, I guess. So for the 2007 movie, wasn't it like Beast Wars where you made the toys first and then the character? No. No, they had designed, they did pre-production on all the characters. We took that pre-production art and some of the animatics that they had made for movement of different characters, different basically of the major scenes. So the first time I saw Optimus transform, it would have been in an animatic of the alley scene, where the kids are in the alley with him and he's spinning. I saw that a year, I saw that for a year in animatic before I ever saw it in film. And then as the ILM finished up their things, that's why wave 2 or 3 or 4 in the different movie segments are more accurate in some cases, because the final head was decided upon for Megatron for movie 1 as an example, whereas early production art was a little squishy, or it could be interpreted from that one 2D image. So a lot of the concept art was first on those. Oh, Atari Adventure. No, I know that one. I inherited a Switch. Family friends were getting out of it, and they just gave us all their games, and they had a Switch. So I have an all-black Switch, and the only game I have is Pikmin. I mean, I have access to the kids' other games, but I only have Pikmin in it. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean that any Nintendo plush is cool. I got my guy here. I bought this in Japan back in the day. Got the Japanese tag. See that? Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I've had this guy since developing Armada, I think, is when I would have bought this. Now the cat wants to chase it. So, I'm not a diehard collector of anything really, but I got an example of almost something from something. So, if I see a little thing that intrigues me, like this guy, this little leaf dude, I had to have it. And I'm happy that I do. I didn't even play the game at the time. I only I dug that character. I'm goofy. All right, everybody. With that, I think I'm going to call it a night. So be on the lookout for where this one ends up. Will he get the winged sword or not? We'll see. We will see. And then I will probably put up a poll about what the next couple items might be. The Soundwave went back about a month or a half ago when I did a poll about who should be next. And Soundwave actually won that, or more people asked about Soundwave, and I didn't have a blue pen that was working at the time. That denotes new. I put marker on the top of when it's new. Anyway, this one was dead, so I knew I couldn't do the whole thing. So this is a few weeks old, so I'll put out a new poll and see what people are into. All right, so thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. And I look forward to catching up with you on the flip side. All right, thank you, everybody. Dun, dun, dun. This is the scary part. How do I end it live on a phone? There it is.